Hello, everyone. So, today I'd like to talk about why I'm not Christian. Now, there was a good amount of time that I went to church, I went to Bible study, I went to different functions that were Catholic in nature, but I wasn't raised Catholic. I wasn't raised Christian. I wasn't raised with any religion. My parents are essentially atheists. They believe in supernatural things, but they don't necessarily believe in God or gods, plural. But as I progressed as a human being, from the time I was little, around the age of 8 and onward, I started to wonder about the nature of reality, why things were as they are, and what I started to see was that there was something beyond what is physical. There was something beyond what we can perceive as tangible as human beings. Now, this feeling of observing something beyond what I sensed was entirely personal. Nobody introduced me to religion. Nobody introduced me to spirituality. Nobody really introduced me to anything. But I started to search. I started to look up different religions. Started to study different religions. And the first one I came to was Buddhism. And I started to study Buddhism. Tibetan Buddhism specifically is the first religion I remember studying. First sect of a religion that I began to study. And I eventually found my way, you know, first to Buddhism, then to Christianity, and through many other ideas of God or ideas of reality into Hinduism before I became Hindu. And now I am solidly founded in Hinduism because it makes the most sense to me. The grander scale of the universe being millions and millions of years, the different gods being the functions of the same one God, everything being a part of the same one whole that is this source, God, to varying magnitudes. But why I'm not Christian, if I was going to name some main points, is that, and these are main points for basically Christianity, Islam, and a couple other major religions that believe in infinite hell, is that the idea that the source, the creator of light, the creator of order, the creator of a system that is sustainable for long periods of time, would create a hell where a soul would go to spend eternity in suffering. Now, an eternity in suffering is not something to be taken lightly. Like you might say, okay, a child molester, go there, oh yeah, go to hell for eternity. But when we're talking about eternity, we're talking about a trillion times a trillion years. It's just a drop in eternity. Eventually, somebody will pay for their crimes. Eventually, Hitler will pay for his crimes. Eventually, a murderer will pay for his crimes. Eventually, even Satan himself will pay for his crimes if we understand the Christian idea of Satan. If we apply that to this theory, eventually, every single being will pay for their crimes that is sent to hell. And the idea that it would just go on for an infinite amount of time, a punishment extending beyond the scope of the crime. And no crime is infinite. There is no infinite crime because a crime has a certain point of suffering that it causes. And once it reaches that point, once somebody is punished to that point, then it doesn't make any sense to go beyond that point or punishment for that point that are being committed and being punished for that point, up to that point. And it just doesn't make sense to me that somebody would be punished for an eternity. That just simply isn't in line with order. It isn't in line with the idea of a single God, a single deity. I'm Hindu. I believe in a single source, a single God, but everything being a part of that one God, but everything being punished in accordance with what it did. Being punished for an eternity goes beyond what any being can do in relation to committing a crime against other beings. And if I was going to name another point, the idea that the one God, the one source, had one son, And in Hinduism we call it avatars. The an isolation of a pure segment of God consciousness, basically Krishna consciousness, Christ consciousness, sent down to help everybody that's here. The idea that God would only send down one segment at one time for a limited amount of time, and not try to save anybody around there, not try to save different people, not try to help other people at different times, or not try to help people until everybody is saved or helped. It doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like if God was if the source was the God of order that created everything, that manages this order and created this whole system, why wouldn't he continually help it, he, she, it? Why wouldn't it continually help until everybody was basically aided in the sense that they knew enough to achieve unification with the source, with one God? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would one at one time, and even if it was 100 years or 1,000 years that Jesus lived, then that would still be an injustice. That wouldn't make any sense, because if it was even just 1,000 years and all of this time that the universe has existed, why would it be just on one planet for that small amount of time? And there are other reasons why I'm not Christian, why it never really convinced me, even though I went to church, I studied the Bible, and I went to a lot of meetings where there were topics on different Bible-related subjects. And I was never really convinced from the beginning, but I tried to give it a chance. And some of these main points just don't make any sense to me. And the idea that if you don't worship God in the right way, then you're going to be sent to this hell forever, and eternal suffering because you didn't worship God through the right book. That doesn't make any sense to me. Now, these have been a few of my ideas about why I didn't stay with Christianity, why I'm not Christian. There are a few other main points, and there are a whole bunch of minor points. But I just wanted to share these few main points so that you understand why I'm not Christian anymore, and start to maybe even question your own faith, whatever you believe. And hopefully this has helped you. And if you have any comments, any questions, I imagine I might get some comments as far as I'm gonna go to hell, because I've gotten comments like that before. But whatever you want to say, even if you don't like me, put them down there in the comment section. And if you found this video interesting, hit that like button down there as well. But thank you very much for watching, and y'all have a great day.